The Pilgrims arrived, and it was barren, and it was challenging, and there was disease, pestilence, as you can imagine. I mean, this is hundreds of years ago. And they decided to set up, William Bradford writes about this, he was the original governor of the colony, and he decided to set up a system whereby everybody would be given a plot of land, and then whatever they produced would go into a common store. It was one of the first known experiments with socialism. And it was based in all the great compassion and fairness that you could think. You know, put in what you do and take out only what you need. You know, the whole point was this common store is going to have the fruits of everybody's labor. And everybody's going to go in there and take out only what they need. Well, the problem was human nature reared its head, and a bunch of slackers amongst the Pilgrims realized they didn't have to do anything in order to go get what they wanted from the common store because other people were carrying the weight, pulling the wagon. And Bradford realized after a while this did not work. Resentment was cropping up amongst the producers for the non-producers. The non-producers were taking everything more than they needed. They just took what they wanted. They said, well, we're entitled to it. I mean, this are the rules. They said, yeah, but you're not producing anything. Well, nothing says I have to. Just says it's whatever's produced going to go to the common store. You know, right. Some of them weren't good at farming. They weren't allowed to specialize. They were all just given a plot of land and say, here, do with it what you want. And some, all they could do was clean up the manure, and others that were, able to turn the manure into fertilized land and grow things. So Bradford finally figured out this wasn't going to work. And they reassigned everybody a plot of land. And then they said, whatever you do with this, you keep. It is yours. And if there's a surplus, you can sell it. And that's what ultimately happened. And that's when the Pilgrims began to prosper. And it was at that point that they shared their bounty with the Indians. It was sort of a joint sharing thing. The Indians already knew about popcorn and that stuff, but they shared it. The true story of Thanksgiving, as Bradford writes it, is thanks to God. It was thanks to God for helping them learn the way to survive and prosper. When they arrived in this new, barren, unforsaken, unknown place, remember now, this is Massachusetts in the wintertime. And there was no Moss Turnpike. And there weren't any department stores and food stores. It was we can't relate to it. We cannot understand it. So the first experiment in capitalism in the New World, bam-o, it went like gangbusters. And that's what Jennifer writes about. Jennifer James is her name, writes about in the Los Angeles Times, in the kids section this weekend.